L is for the way.
At Petfix Club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfixclub.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.
Hi, and welcome to this week's IGTV session. Good to see you all out there. And this week is a really exciting one for me because we're talking to Marina Fiddler about rescue dogs. And Marina is the founder and organizer of MADRA.ie, and I'm a patron of that charity. It's one of the best rescue groups in Ireland. It's based in Connemara, and it covers the whole country. And I know many dogs who have been both rescued and successfully rehomed by MADRA. So I'm delighted to be talking to them, to Marina tonight. So we're just waiting for Marina to request to come online and join us. In the meantime, I'm going to say a few words as usual, which is that my name is Pete Wedderburn, also known as Pete the Vet, and I'm here as the co-founder, one of the co-founders of an exciting new website, which is Petfix Club. And the aim of Petfix is to offer everybody, everywhere, all the time, good quality veterinary advice. And we've extended that out to petfixshop.ie. And at Petfix Shop, you can buy a whole range of good quality products for your dog, food, pet accessories, at good prices, at special prices for Petfix Club members too. Hi Marina, how are you doing?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I got a bit lost in the whole Instagram thing, but I found you eventually. Yeah, but anyway, apologies for being late.
Yeah, you're hardly late. It's a strange thing. I've been doing this a couple of months now, every week, and it's definitely a learning process.
Oh God, every day is a school day for me when it comes to technology. Yeah, absolutely.
But you're a natural at it, Marina.
Yeah, you should have seen me half an hour ago. Yeah.
Listen, and Marina, before we get started, how's life in the dog rescue world? Must be manic right now. It's probably always manic, is it?
Well, it's very strange. It's, I suppose, the same in everybody else's world. You know, nobody really knows what's going on. You have to adapt and change pretty much on a weekly basis. Try to maintain your own standards and try to maintain relevance in the world. But the world has changed, and so you're constantly, hitting balls all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's like, it does seem to me that whenever you talk to dog rescues, like any time over the last 30 years, it's like it's crisis to crisis to crisis. Like there's always the shortage of funds. There's always the pressure of animals needing rescued, always the pressure of animals needing homes. But I guess in COVID, things have changed a little bit, have they? In that
well, I think, the charity world in general is like that. I mean, you have to, you launch from crisis to crisis. There's always something coming up with charities. You never have enough funding to do what you want to do. But you have to do what's within your grasp. And so we were really lucky in that our donors continued to support us. Our 3 shops were closed. And so
important for your fundraising normally, weren't they?
Oh, they're a huge part of our fundraising. Like Geraldine and the team are just incredible. And
where are the shops and what are they selling them?
Well, we've a shop in Furbo and a shop in Moycullen. We're down to 2 shops now, but and the shop money would pay all the wages, so therefore all the donors' money would go to the dogs.
And what do you sell in the shops? I don't.
Oh, it's secondhand goods, bric-a-brac, secondhand goods, clothes, bric-a-brac, all that kind of stuff. So it's a
classic charity shop, really.
You're at your classic charity shop, and our policy was always to sell it cheap so that the people who buy it would benefit as well. So it benefits the whole society. But yes, to lose that revenue was huge. The government have stepped up obviously and have paid some money towards the staffing, but it's like a bizarre world we find ourselves in. But yeah, we're in terms of MADRA, we're doing okay, thanks to our supporters. We've a huge amount of really good supporters that, you know, we wouldn't be without. And the staff have been amazing. We've just got to roll with the punches.
Marina, can you tell me the story about, like, you're a founder of this great rescue group, and there's always a founder story. So tell me your story. How did it all happen? What happened?
It's really boring at this stage, but
I don't believe it.
It was a different world back then. When MADRA started, and many other charities, it was a very different world. The kill rates in pounds were astronomical. They were off the Richter scale. It was, so if you, in some pounds, you know, the dogs that went in there, 98% of them were put to sleep. Like, I mean, that's unbelievable. And the quantities, you remember, Pete, because you were around then. I mean, there was a lot of dogs being put to sleep on an annual basis. And so the world has transformed, thankfully, and lots of people have got into rescue, and everybody's helping, and the public are much more aware now of you know, not putting dogs in at risk. So now it's changed even more. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime, because, as we all know, COVID has created a huge increase in the want for pets, cats and dogs. I'm sure there's other, and in fact, I feel we miss out on the small furries that may also be in huge demand during lockdown times, and may not be catered for as well as the dogs and cats. They don't have a voice as much as us. Anyway, so basically, things have changed now, so that the price of a dog has gone through the roof. And so, like, Lordy God, who would have thought that somebody would pay me 15 grand or 1,500 for a mongrel puppy? But there you go. That's the way it is nowadays. Now, they're not paying me that.
It was so unexpected that of all the things that might happen in COVID, it's not something that occurred to me for a moment. But it's become such. It's not just a feature in Ireland; it's across the world. Dogs
I
are
was
just become...
terrified of dying. I thought I was going to die, and my friends were going to die. The last thing I thought was that there was going to be people wanting puppies and dogs. Like, yeah, it didn't occur to me.
Do you know something else, Marina? I've noticed just in looking at the surveys and stuff that are going on. The biggest increase in popularity for getting a dog is in what are I have to get terminology right here. The Gen Z millennials.
I know. I get all that terminology as well.
It's the young group. It's the 18 to 25-year-olds. Those people who wouldn't normally have got themselves a dog. Normally they'd be off having fun doing other stuff. But now they're kind of very restricted, and especially socially restricted, and they've caught on to the idea that a dog's a great friend. And I myself know young people in their very early 20s who haven't yet got their own house. They're just renting somewhere, and they haven't got their own family yet. They're still at the boyfriend girlfriend stage and stuff, but they're getting dogs. I don't know if you've noticed that at all, have you?
I haven't, particularly because of the criteria we look for in a rescue. We filter out, and so because a lot of those people would say they're looking for a sociable, happy companion, which they're not really coming into rescue as much at the moment, which is a whole other story. I wonder, is it the same for babies though? Are people having babies more often as well? Which would be another interesting statistic to find. But yeah, so it's hard to comprehend this new world, but my take on it is that we're all expecting they'll all when lockdown is over, all these dogs will flood back to rescue. And I don't know that that's necessarily true. So many people do it with the best intentions. They genuinely want a dog. They want to share their life. They want to help a dog. And so that has to be taken into account. Very few people get a dog and think, oh, that's grand, I'll get rid of it in 6 months when I go back to work. So the genuine integrity of people will stay true. So people will change their lives once they've realized what it's like to have that responsibility. And they will change their lifestyle, their jobs will be more flexible. They will start using daycare or neighbors, friends, whatever. And some people will unfortunately have made a mistake, and they will have to find a new home for the dog. But that's kind of what charities do across the sector, dog charities and human charities. We pick up the detritus of people's mistakes. I mean, that is what we do. And other people give us money in order that we can help other people. So it's a very democratic system, and it's fine. But it's hard when it all comes at once, and it's hard when people don't learn from their mistakes, and it's hard. So the dogs that come to us, most of them now, other rescues would see cruelty cases, and we wouldn't see that as much. But it's hard for people as well. It's hard to judge people when they have tried to do the right thing, and they didn't.
I have to say, if somebody, I mean, do most people, most of the dogs that you look after, are they left with you by the public? Are they, or how do you get hold of them?
We mostly deal with the pound system for a variety of reasons. There's a very good data collection system there, so that we know the national situation. When a dog has been surrendered, it's been surrendered legally, and so therefore, once we get the dog, we can rehome it legally.
So in other words, like, I mean, a lot of folk watching this mightn't realise, but basically, there are two possibilities when a dog goes to the pound. The first one is that the owner literally surrenders it. They say, I am surrendering my dog. So they are handing their dog over into the care of the state. So that's the first kind. But the other type is the dog warden finds a dog straying somewhere, and they basically, they take it, they seize it, I suppose, and they take it to the pound, and they look after it for 5 days, and they check it for a chip. They might find it has an owner, or maybe not. If it hasn't got an obvious owner, then after 5 days, the dog becomes the property of the state. So those are the two ways that people can, that the pound can get dogs. So you basically liaise with different pounds then, and they, what, do you go along to them once a week, or how do you get the dogs? How does it work?
Yeah, well, back in the days, we would have to call maybe twice a week. But at the moment, we would call once a week. We work very, very closely with Galway County and Mayo County. Fantastic.
Where's MADRA based? Sorry.
MADRA's in Connemara, and we would be reasonably close to the Mayo border. And so Mayo and Galway are both big counties, and so we work with both of their county. We also would work with Galway City Pound when required. But so both these pounds, the numbers are down, and so once a week would probably be appropriate now. However, the numbers are down, but the type of dogs that are coming in are vastly different to what they used to be. So they're now dogs, I mean, they're dogs that, I suppose, to be crude about it, they're not dogs you could sell online. Or if you did, you'd be a bit of a cowboy. So the dogs that have emotional issues, they're dogs that may have been just living a life on a farm, that have no understanding of human contact. Some of them have never been hugged or cuddled. They're not ideal for family pets immediately. They need a certain rehabilitation time where they can process all this new information. They're very sensitive dogs. Some of them would have maybe not had the best of time, and you can see it. You can see traces of that in their body score. In the one little guy came in just yesterday. He has a ring around his neck where he was obviously tied with a rope, and it dug into his skin. And you know, there's the telltale signs of human neglect.
Do they tend to be like collies? That sounds like what you're saying.
Lot of ours are farm dogs, which vary from collies down to terrier, collie, smalley, terrier, all sorts of weird variations on the collie, but there's collie in there somewhere in most of them, yeah. The lurchers and sighthounds are coming in a lot more often now as well.
And are they mostly adult dogs, or are they puppies, or?
Not many puppies. A lot of them are adults. If you're talking about dogs that are surrendered for by owners to the pounds, they're usually juveniles, a year old, 18 months when they start to get difficult. But the adults that come into us from rural environments that are from farm backgrounds, they're the real heartbreakers, because a lot of them are 5-6 years old, and they have never lived as a pet. And so our struggle is how to find them the correct environment. I mean, the most important thing to MADRA, and my whole team feel very strongly about this, is that you have to respect them as dogs. They are dogs in their own right. They are not there for us. They are there, and we have to learn how to live together. And so it's hard placing them, because not everybody wants a dog that will live in the garden, go for walks, but just hang out, you know, not want to sit on the couch and be cuddled and be kissed and have people slobbering all over them. Not every dog wants that. And so that's the fine line we walk at the moment.
And when you say you do rehabilitation, so what does that mean? Like, I imagine, I have in my head like that a rescue place like MADRA would be like, you probably got sort of boarding kennel type situation, and you probably got so reasonable sized runs for dogs, and they come out their run maybe a couple of times a day to go for a walk in a field, and then back into their run again. Is that kind of what happens? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, in Walt Disney, that's what happens. You know. Well, no, that's what we aspire to. You're right. I mean, that is what we aspire to. But the reality is that I speak for all rescues here, that, you know, we one of the most frustrating parts of our job is that we know what should be done, but we can't always do it. I know exactly what home this dog needs. I can't provide it. I know he needs to be in a quiet environment. He's in my kennels, which is noisy. And that's where the huge conflict comes. And that's where burnout comes with people. And this applies, I presume, to people in human charities as well. I know this woman needs shelter. I can't provide it. And so that's where the difficulties lie. And so yeah, we have to be inventive. We have to keep working and plugging away. So we have a special needs foster system now, where we're hoping people will take in the shy, under socialized dogs. We have such fantastic people who approach us to adopt dogs, and some of them have taken on dogs that you can't even touch. They live in your garden, almost feral, and you will feed them, and eventually it's like a project. And eventually you will see results. These dogs don't go out as single dogs, so they have to be with other dogs. So the variation on helping dogs and helping rescues, the boundaries have just broken down. You can there's so many things you can do to help these dogs.
And how do you go? So you take these dogs in, let's say, well, how many spaces do you have in your kennel, roughly? Can you take, how many dogs do you have at one time? 20 or 30 or 100?
Well, if you had asked me that like last year, the number would have been very different. So in truth, we have 16 kennels, but they are double kennels. So we can divide them and have, all our dogs are walked daily on lead, except for the ones that don't walk on lead. So when the dogs that came in were relatively sociable and had been just discarded by people, then we could easily have had 32 kennels, because they were all taken out on lead several times a day. But now that the dogs are coming in, they're not sociable, they've never been handled, they don't walk on lead. Now we only have space for 16, because they need a kennel. We can't walk them on lead. They need access to the outside, and if not, then we need to give them a place to go to the toilet where they don't sleep. So now the double kennels are in use as a single kennel.
Right. Yeah.
So the numbers are down, but it's more difficult.
So I suppose, and that's where you use fosters. People,
yeah, fosters are huge.
People who are experienced with dogs, who are prepared to take in these dogs temporarily and essentially offer them a boarding kennel in their own homes. Is that it?
We have so many people who want to foster dogs and adopt dogs, but fosters in particular, they actually really want to foster dogs. But unfortunately, what these dogs need is it's just so complex. So, for example, a lot of the collies, they're overstimulated by noise, traffic, the sound of the children screaming next door. It would actually overwhelm them. And so it's such a shame we have to turn down quite a lot of people who want to foster. But we have special needs fosters, and they actually have to come for training. And they also have to have a setup that is appropriate. Now, sometimes if you are in an urban environment and you want to do a special needs foster, that's fine, because it's a medical dog that needs cage rest after hip surgery. But again, you have to be able to keep a dog in crate rest and cope with all that. It's not a game. It's not fun.
No. If you're not used to doing that, that's very difficult.
It's difficult. I to be honest, if I had a dog in crate rest here, I would really struggle, because they want to get out of the crate. They want to get out and hug you, and you have to say, no, I'm sorry, you've got to stay in the crate. You cannot move that leg for 6 weeks. So there is, I mean, obviously, we have a huge relationship with James Dunn and Ark, but sometimes we choose amputation because the dog is back in action within 48 hours. Or
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, you're a vet, but you know what I mean. And so
Yeah.
crate rest for a dog that has never been handled and doesn't walk on lead, crate rest for 6 weeks. It's difficult.
It's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
That's going to have an impact on their behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So listen, so the next stage then is these animals are staying with you for a period of time, I suppose, until you feel they're ready to get to their new home. And at that point, you have to find a new home. Now, how do you go about doing that, like practically?
Well, it's like Lisdoon Varna, the matchmaking festival, don't you know? It is, it's trying to tick boxes, you know? So we get so many applications and people are very, very keen to help a dog and also to adopt a dog, but they want something that's pretty ready to move straight into a home with children, and we don't have many of them. Each dog has a different journey. I can't say the duration in kennels has extended. The average duration in kennels has extended, but it is about talking through what the dog needs and what the people need, and it can be hard to make a match with some of these dogs. They're not easy. We do have the support of the ADCH, Association of Dog and Cat Homes, and some of the very high drive border collies that are dying for agility or just working as search and rescue. Some of them would go to Border Collie Trust in the UK, who's an ADCH member as well. We liaise with them very closely. The reason some dogs would go to the UK would be the population. In fairness, Ireland would, the size of Ireland would be like a small town in the UK, you know, in terms of the quantity of people looking for a dog.
Also, the kind of dogs that you have are, they're kind of uniquely Irish in some ways, or at least, like in the UK, I know there's a real shortage of certain types of dogs. Just that's the way it is. The population is out there. They don't have as many farm type dogs there. So perhaps your dogs are more in demand for that reason as well.
The high drive dogs could also apply to like the Malinois, the Belgian Shepherds, and other weird breeds that I've never even heard of. But yeah, you're right. They have a much bigger catchment area for a dog that wants to do agility, because an awful lot of places in the UK, for example, every small town has a little small agility club. And these are dog enthusiasts. It doesn't matter if your dog doesn't win. It's something to do at the weekend. You bring your dog out, you meet your mates, you go jumping through hoops, and it's all great crack, and then you may have a cup of tea afterwards. We don't have that so much in Ireland.
Isn't it growing here? Isn't it something that's becoming more?
It probably is, but you still won't get it out in Connemara because there isn't enough people. You have to drive, I have to drive an hour to get to a city, a town. So, you know, even to go to the cinema for me now is an hour there, the cinema, and then an hour back. So, there's a lot of places in Ireland like that. So any small clubs are very small, or else you've got to drive a long way. So the high drive dogs do travel a lot to the UK, and that's not just MADRA, it's a lot of other rescues. But I notice, because I'm in touch with the UK a lot, even the UK rescues are seeing the exact same thing that Ireland is seeing now. They're getting the dogs, we call them the biters and the fighters. You know, a dog that has a bite history into rescue. What do we do with that? So you come into rescue, you're given a choice of dog A that has bitten, overstimulated, got overexcited, bit another dog by mistake. It's not an aggressive dog, or dog B who hasn't. So like dog A, then the biter end up staying for a long time, and that
then of course is not going to help his temperament either, with the lack of socialization.
No, and it doesn't help the dog stay in rescue, and it doesn't help rescue dogs in general to the public, you know. So we really need to rebrand and adapt and be relevant now, dog charities, as to exactly what's going on. And I go back to my first point of the fact that all these dogs are here because of human error, and so humans need to step up and be smart about it. Like, I can go online and I can see a beautiful gingham mini dress on a mod, and I say, geez, I'd love that. I'd look fabulous in that. You know, I order it and I look like a tramp. But that's what people are thinking with dogs. They say, oh my God, a husky, I would so love one of them. I would walk him every day. And the reality is the husky arrives and no, you don't. He's a pain in the neck and you don't walk him every day. So people need to be smart about what they're doing.
There's somebody called Michael White just sent a message saying, every time I visit Connemara, I always pay a visit to MADRA. Great place with great people. So have you got like a visitor centre there, or what happened?
Oh, you're only reading out the nice comments now, people. What about the people who said, I was really, really rude to them when they arrived and tell them to get off my property? Hi, Michael.
Get out of here.
Hi, Michael. I'm so glad that you had a good experience with us. Yes, we do. We do. We do open to the public, but it's a double-edged sword. The dogs get very stressed when people come into kennels, and it's a huge amount of work for my staff and insurance and all the stuff that goes with that. But we love engaging with our donors and our supporters. So we did have, all last year, it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we would allow people to come in by appointment and they would get to walk dogs. Now that's going to be vastly different this year when we do decide to reopen. There's no dogs to walk because a lot of them are not dogs that can be walked on lead. So yeah, we have to still engage with our public and find a way to let them see the dogs and meet the dogs while the dogs can enjoy it and the people can enjoy it.
I think that's something that Dogs Trust have done really well over, like, obviously they're a massive organisation who've got loads of centres across the UK and Ireland. And they decide, like another one in Dublin, for English, it's been designed from the ground up for exactly what you say, to make it, it's almost like, let's create a place where people can come and have fun with dogs. It's almost what they've done there. And it works really, really well. But it's quite hard to do it when you're starting from scratch without a big funding organisation behind you, just starting from scratch, and you've got an established kennels and blah, 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 you've got the infrastructure already there. But to create something like that, it just must feel almost impossible. Is there a single project that you have in mind for MADRA, by the way? If somebody said to you, have 100 grand, what do you think you'd do, Marina, if you could suddenly have a big rush of funds like that?
Well, first of all, I have to say Dogs Trust are fantastic, and that's who myself and Tara, who was the co-founder of MADRA, that's who we modelled ourselves on. We wanted to be the Dogs Trust of the West. Dogs Trust consider the human element of the dog ownership completely, and they get it. It's about the humans as much as it is about the dogs. If I had 100k, I probably would head off on a plane to Barbados, like, obviously that's a no-brainer. But you know, if MADRA had 100k, if I had to give it to MADRA and I had to fess up that somebody gave it to me for MADRA, then yeah. So actually, we have a project ongoing at the moment, which is, you know, it's kind of a normal enough thing for UK rescues to do, but we're hoping to do a real life room in one of our, it's a part of the land there, and you know, change one of our existing buildings into a real life room, which is how we prepare dogs. A real life room is exactly what it says in the can. So it's a pretend real life room with washing machines, tumble dryers, a television screen, and we bring these dogs in there and get them used to being in a home environment and see how they cope, and just teach them how to behave within a home environment. And so that's our project for this year, and Paul is on it, and we're hopefully, Ryan has already donated, and so have Allergan in Westport, because it includes a sensory garden where the dogs can go out, and also there's different things that we can do in the sensory garden to stimulate and excite and interest dogs, because it's boring here. And so one of the things would be we would gather the shavings from Pet World, the shavings from the guinea pig kennels, and scatter them around, and different things like that to make the little garden interesting for dogs. Different plants that they smell and all that. So that's our project for this year, and Ryan Dunn has already contributed, as have Allergan. So that's it's really exciting for us. But we also see it as a possible way for the public to engage with our dogs, so they could come into the real life room with a trainer and help the dogs to cope in a new environment.
That's really interesting. That's very novel.
It sounds novel. It actually isn't. We're slow to the party, which is not my style, but we are slow to the party.
You're slow to leave parties as well, Marina, so hopefully you'll be doing that for a long, long time to come.
To the witchy party?
You're slow to leave parties too.
Oh,
So...
I am. Yeah, I have been known to be dragged out kicking and screaming.
So hopefully it's a real good long-term project for you, and it sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Listen, can we see if there are any questions that come in? I'm just going to click on this button here. This is kind of how this thing works. Oh, there are. Okay. Can I just read these to you, Maud? First one from Leah. Are you still selling MADRA face masks, and where can people buy them?
Yes, we are. And I presume it's on the, I will find out, but I presume it's on the, you will find out on the MADRA online shop.
Okay, and that's on MADRA.ie website.
MADRA.ie website, there's a MADRA shop there. Now, if there's any issues with anything, if you send an email to info@madra.ie, we will redirect you.
Okay, look. Now then, do you rescue cats as well?
No, but funny enough, we have recently, but that was an accident. We thought he was a dog. He looked just like a dog.
You thought it was a dog, Marina.
Well, you know, they're all furry. No. It was a cat. Our local garage had an injured cat, and we trapped it with the help of somebody else, and he ended up staying here.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what? If you look at the landscape across Ireland of rescue centres, I think that a really big absence is a good cat rescue. And I don't mean to demean any other cat rescues that are out there. That came out wrongly. What I think would be really good to be to well, I suppose I've been to Cats Protection in the UK. They've got a mega rescue centre near Gatwick Airport, and it's a bit like Dogs Trust style. And it's just like, if you could design your absolute dream cat rescue, you know, with everything done just exactly how it should be, with a veterinary clinic doing every animal that comes in has a full medical surgical workup, all their teeth cleaned and sorted, and they've got behaviourists there to help the cats that are frightened to get them rehabilitated, and they're just doing everything perfectly. I'd love to see a big cat rescue of that type in this country sometime.
I think you did word it wrongly, because I think there's obviously huge work being done by cat people. Galway Cat Rescue, Leash SPCA.
Oh, I didn't mean to say there wasn't. I'm sorry. I wasn't suggesting that.
No, but I know, I see what you mean, because they're not visible except within their own small area. Whereas something like Cats Protection are a national organisation, and I think the problem there is that cats are not rated with our politicians. They're not rated in legislation. Nobody protects them. They are pretty much classed as vermin. Some vermin companies will actually exterminate them, and so the voice for cats is too localised. There's no national voice. And that's a huge problem. The HCH
maybe that's a challenge for the next, like, so much has come on in the last 20, 30 years on the dog front, and the dog euthanasias at the pounds to me are like symbolic, that there used to be over 30,000 a year being euthanized just because they weren't wanted. Now there's less than 500. So that's been like a total sea change, and maybe we need the same sort of change for cats to increase cats, I suppose.
Absolutely do.
Nature to society.
Cats have been seriously neglected just because they don't chase sheep. You know, the only reason they got the dog legislation was to protect sheep. You know, that's how it started, the dog control stuff. So, you know, cats have just been hugely neglected. And don't even start me on small furries.
No.
But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about dogs. Remember that.
Yes. I've got another question here that somebody sent via Facebook page, so I'm going to have to read it out from a bit of paper, okay?
Okay.
And this one goes like this. We have a rescue dog from MADRA named Poncho, who we adopted almost 5 years ago. Just a quick question about bringing him in the car. He absolutely loves it, but he gets so excited he barks constantly. Not aggressively, just pure excited, as she is generally going for a walk or somewhere fun. She is strapped, oh, it's turned into a male, sorry. He is strapped into a seatbelt harness so he's safe, but the barking is so distracting when driving. What can we do to stop this?
That's a very good question. And Carrie, our qualified trainer, would probably be best placed to talk to. Well, that's an interesting intro into what we do in terms of our follow-up. So we're always there for any of the dogs that are adopted. So anybody who has a question like that can always contact us directly by email or whatever, phone me, whatever. But I suppose in terms of a short answer, that's possibly the visual stimulus is too much for that dog. And so it might be no harm to, if you have a hatchback, to get an airline crate, pop them into the airline crate as you're driving. It's like, you know, when we'll all feel like that when lockdown is over. You know, I guarantee you, if you're heading down to the harbour, you'll be skipping along the street, Pete, when it's reopened. And you won't contain your excitement. And that's the same for the dog. And because every time the dog gets in the car, he's going somewhere exciting. The car in itself is now exciting. So, I mean, you can do
something like give the dog something like a stuffed Kong or something during the journey. So maybe think about that.
It has to be of equal stimulus. The Kong won't cut it when there's the thoughts of the beach like that. It'll just still be thinking of the beach.
I think actually the question does make me think about something, which is this, that like I often get asked questions about behaviour, in particular in the media, and the problem is that the answer should really be the same every time, which is really go and have a detailed consultation with the behaviourist. That should be the answer. Now, you couldn't possibly say that every time you're asked that question, any question about behaviour, because that's pretty boring. But the reality is that everything it's the individual animal. It's exactly what's happening, and it's precise things that you need to do to change things. And it's quite difficult to generalize, isn't it?
Well, it sounds like a cop-out when you say that, but you know, dog trainers and dog behaviourists, they are skilled in this. They've spent their life. That's what they love doing. They solve problems. And I have heard recently another animal care professional who advised that every time a dog growled, it should be smacked and put in a crate. So, you know, that's not appropriate. But people are listening to so many different things. And I suppose, you know, not everybody would have the money for a behaviourist or a trainer or whatever, but, you know, call your rescue for advice. They would maybe even guide you as to who to go. There's so much online as well. You can YouTube trainers, everybody from Cesar, what's his face, down to, you know, somebody else. I don't know who else. So it's mind-boggling, and you just don't. It's so funny because there's now so much information, you don't know where to go. Before there was no information and you didn't know where to go, but now there's just too much.
I think that one of the problems with the internet is sorting out the wheat from the chaff. That there's good information out there, but there's also very bad and misleading information. And
it's a nightmare. How do you know? How can you tell if you're an ordinary person? Like if I was trying to buy a computer thing or something to do technology online, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd be looking at this, and like, how would I know?
And actually, you know, Marina, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the things that inspired Petfix. Because, and my aim is to act as a guide for pet owners to the internet, essentially, or to information, and information means the internet, really. Because I just know from experience that if you Google cruciate ligament rupture, I know what you're going to go to. You're going to get taken to the websites that have been set up by, in particular, the surgeons who do the complex procedures to fix cruciate ligaments. And they've written really good and detailed and top of the class articles about cruciate rupture, and they've search engine optimized those articles so they go to the top of the search. But what you will not find out is that actually, if you've got a little dog that's less than 15 kilograms, there's a reasonable chance that over 2 to 3 months that dog might actually get better naturally. You won't find that in those websites because they're talking about the best way to do things, which is the surgery. And so that's why, that's an example of why it helps to have an experienced guide who really knows the whole area to show you around the internet. And that's what Petfix aims to do, is to give people trusted information. And I'm sure that I'm quite sure there'd be niches out there for the same thing in the computer world and the same thing in the gardening world and in all areas. There's too much information on the internet, and sorting out the good and the bad stuff is difficult if you don't know the topic.
It's very difficult, and I know you to be hugely at the animal is at the forefront of all your decisions.
Yeah.
And the human animal engagement is just so important. People get very, it's so funny. I had somebody say that, well, actually it was a member of staff. Sorry. So we delivered an old dog to her, and she had said that the dog I delivered it and I had to go off and do something else. And she said, oh my God, he's had a nosebleed when I bring him to the vets. And I was like, well, no. I mean, if you had a nosebleed, I wouldn't bring you to the doctor. It's okay. But people get very upset when they see an animal sick because they don't trust that they know what's going on. They don't trust their own instinct that the dog is actually okay. Dog has just vomited. That's okay. I vomit sometimes. Well, not often anymore, thank God. But you know what I mean? So because they don't understand enough, they trust then, and they but you can meet, so there's a lot to be said, obviously, for people who train as vets. That's huge. But there's also a lot to be said for people who have some understanding and a long-term relationship with dogs. So I suppose the secret there is to listen to everybody, but find your own path and know yourself and your dog better, and make your decisions based on that. To find a holistic vet like you is very hard, Pete, I have to say. A lot of vets would be overrun, and they're stressed and they're tired. And quite often, if you go to a practice, you'd meet 3 or 4 different vets. So you would have told the whole story of your own emotional stuff, of how, your sister actually lives you and she's special needs, and the dog doesn't like her. All this story I would have told you on a consult. And the next thing I go in with the same dog and it's a different person who doesn't understand the background story behind this dog's anxiety. And so, so it's very hard. So, but to find a holistic vet like you that covers all bases, or like Petfix that will actually delve into everything, is huge.
To go back to Poncho for a second, the dog with the behaviour thing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Poncho.
I wanted to say this, that the good thing for Poncho is Poncho originally came from MADRA. And does that mean that Haruna can contact you and say, look, MADRA, I'm having this behavioural issue. Do you offer that service to dogs that you've rehomed?
Absolutely. So we have obviously a full follow-up with, depending, our dogs are in different categories in terms of their requirements. So you get sometimes, with some dogs you get a full backup in terms of for the whole of their life. But all dogs for the whole of their life can ring us at any time for advice, support, and we will guide you towards the right trainer, an appropriate trainer that will use force-free methods, or an appropriate groomer, or boarding kennels. We will guide you. We won't recommend any one above the other, but we will guide you as to what to look for, how to advise, and also, if you have to buy a dog, if there is no dog in rescue and you feel you need a small house pet puppy for your growing family, you can call a good rescue. They will tell you what to look for in terms of how not to, well, it's very hard not to be hoodwinked. But IPAG is a group that will help with advertising of pets. But I mean, a good rescue will also help you to spot really, really obvious bad things when buying a pet.
That's useful to know. So people can contact you, even if you don't particularly have a dog perhaps that might suit them, you'll still try and help them as best you can.
Always, because you can't be in the dog welfare or dog rescue world without liking people. I want it to be a good experience for people and for dogs.
And just to get to the sort of the nitty gritty of it, do you have a fee? What do you charge when you rehome a dog? I mean, it almost seems to me to be irrelevant, because you're never going to get paid enough money by people to cover the costs, really. And also, a lot of people are going to just be generous as best they can. So in some ways, the money, to me, seems to be a bit, I don't know, random. But how does it work for you guys? How does that work?
Well, it is. It's a suggested donation, and I think we're going up to, I've forgotten now, I think it's 180 this May. I can't exactly remember, I'm sorry. But it doesn't even cover things. It doesn't cover the basic costs, in fairness. But that's also not the point, because when people, being a charity, people give us money. Our main point is the right home. And if it is that's our bottom line. This has to be the right home for the dog and for the owner. And so if the person is struggling financially, that won't impede an adoption taking place. And that's so So we have a huge responsibility to spend our donors' money wisely. And I feel that's what they would want me to do. That they would want this dog in a home regardless. And that's what we aim towards. Obviously, dog ownership does come with a cost, though. So anybody who doesn't understand the costs that will be involved in owning a pet, we need to talk seriously about that. Maybe they should just foster. Maybe there should be some other way of doing it. But for those dogs that need a home, we will move them on because people support us, and that's what they want us to do.
Yeah. Listen,
so they're supplementing, I suppose, the cost of a dog.
Yes, yes. You know, it's bizarre to me that dogs have gone so expensive. People will now readily admit to paying over €2,000 for a puppy. And I mean, a year ago, if you said that was going to happen, nobody would have believed you, and everybody would have said that's an insane amount of money for a dog. Who would ever pay that? Everybody's paying it now. It's really, I mean, I'm very ambivalent about that. I don't know about you. In some ways, I think that it's just crazy. In other ways, I think, well, it tells you that the status of the dog has gone up in our culture, and dogs are more valued now, and maybe in some ways that's a good thing.
I wish. Who has that kind of money? Who has that kind of money to buy a dog?
People do. People do, though. They do.
Well,
They're doing.
I did speak to a woman who had never thought of getting a dog, and then she decided on Wednesday, and then she got the dog on Thursday, and she went back to work on Friday. So it's not ideal. I think there's a, you know, we're all aware of changing society. It's not just changing in the dog world, and I think that loneliness is huge. Loneliness and tactile, and the touch and the cuddle of a dog. Now, again, we all do have a little bit of the Walt Disney to that. The reality is very different. It's like, yeah, I presume, I'm not a parent, but I presume when you're planning on having children, you think, I could be like this, it'd be gorgeous, they'll love me, and I love a little baby, and you know, and they turn out to be monsters. So, you know, it's the same thing. You know, you do think this is what's going to make you less lonely, and quite often it does. I mean, dogs are huge. Their connection with humans is beyond belief. But we need to respect that they're not just there for us. It's a partnership. We need to supply what they need.
And like any relationship, it's not always perfect. Last night at 2 in the morning, Kiko started barking. She started barking and barking and barking. Now, there's no reason I could find. I'm not going to go into all this just now, but there's times, like, I love that little dog dearly, but there's also times when it's infuriating. That's life with a dog. That's life with a dog, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is, Pete, because it never fails to infuriate you, but then also bring the joy. So, but people don't think about that. They think, oh, only human nature. We're just optimists by nature, maybe, or we just blinded to the fact that there's actual responsibilities with pet ownership or childhood or having children. But yeah, it's huge. It's a relationship between the two, and because communication with an animal is not verbal as such. If I was leaving to go to the shops and you and me live together, God forbid, I would say, Pete, I'm only going to the shops. I'll be back in an hour. Do you want anything? But to your dog, he doesn't understand, and I frequently would say it to him or her, but it's not a verbal communication, so we can't even explain why we're doing some things, and so it's a huge responsibility on us. It is.
But listen, you're doing a great job at MADRA, and I'm just so impressed by it all, Marina. And keep going, and I hope that, what did you say it's called, the real life room?
The real life room, yes.
That happens in 2021, and you'll have to think of another thing to spend 100 grand on the following year. And I hope the money keeps on coming in.
It's a huge initiative as well. I think it's really exciting, and it's really with the modern world. And thanks for tonight. It's the most going out I've had for ages. I actually put on some makeup. You and me just had a date.
You call this going out?
It's tragic, but it's true.
Indeed. Listen, I've got to say something at the end here. Just a minute. I'm going to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. So that's for everybody out there who's watching. And MADRA and Marina, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was really enjoyable, and I think we covered some really interesting stuff. And
Thanks,
I'll see you all next week with somebody else. And Marina, I'll see you again one of these days, wherever. Look forward to it.
Bye.
L is for the way.
At Petfix Club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfixclub.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.